So now we have birds exploding on power lines. The locals within the neighborhood who have found about 50 of these incidents have began their own awareness campaign. They know they're being lied to by the power company and the Fish and Game Department about the cause of the death of these birds. And it's been happening since February. We'll talk more after this presentation.
Guys, this whole flashing light, power grids going down phenomena that's sweeping the earth just got a whole lot more mysterious. I'm going to take you guys to Northern California for a special report, something that's been going on now for a couple of weeks, from what I understand. Witnesses are reporting exploding birds that are landing on power lines in their neighborhood. Check out what they have to say.
It's a mystery. I think that's how we all feel, is it's inexplicable.
If what's happening along Bernhardt Avenue in Richmond is a mystery, then these are the neighborhood detectives.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Residents say what has been happening high along this power line since February just isn't adding up.
It sounded like a firecracker, and a black, I think it was a starling, just plummeted to the ground.
They say there have been more than 50 instances of birds dying along this top power line.
Super traumatic to see this.
Neighbors say after hanging up awareness posters like these and repeated calls to PG&E, there was little action. When a worker came out to inspect the line,
He literally seemed like befuddled.
after reporting on the story Sunday night. On Monday, PG&E told ABC7 that they reached out to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife to evaluate several of the dead birds. In a statement, PG&E said Fish and Wildlife shared that the birds show no evidence of electrocution and that their deaths were caused by trauma, potentially from a pellet or BB gun or a slingshot.
But I feel like a BB gun doesn't make firecracker noise. And I can't fathom somebody could be that accurate all the time.
PG&E also said they do not believe that there was an issue with our electrical equipment and agrees that these birds were not electrocuted.
I know where the sound is coming from. It's coming from up on the pole.
That particular wire does sizzle and arc at times.
We reached out to the Department of Fish and Wildlife, who confirmed PG&E's statement, but reiterated the cause of death was not clear. For the residents along Barnhard, whatever the cause, something needs to be done sooner than later.
We just want it solved.
And as you heard, the eyewitnesses say they're hearing what sounds like firecracker noises, sizzling as these birds fall to the ground. Just a very eerie scenario. They're definitely not on board with the slingshot theory. They're hearing and seeing things that don't make sense, much like the flash sense, much like the flashing lights that have been sweeping the earth. There's something, in my humble opinion, that is influencing the flow of electricity, much like the power lines that those birds are sitting on. Something is causing power surges that at times are affecting the birds and obviously not in a good way. Here's video.
Go, Mr. MDB 333 from Sacramento.
That's not far from where the bird incident is occurring. And going from Northern California to Springville, Alabama. This video was sent in by Tammy W. from yesterday. Again, this isn't showing any signs of slowing down. If anything, it's getting stronger. Check out all the lights underneath the canopy here at this gas station. Several flickering away for unknown reasons. This phenomena shows up rogue and randomly all around the world, and it looks like now maybe it's affecting birds that are sitting on power lines. Example number 5 in Orlando, Florida. Much like the situation in Northern California, where residents are very confused as to what's going on to the birds landing on power lines in their communities. They know what they're hearing, they know what they're seeing, and they are 100% convinced that it has nothing to do with slingshots. I want to show you guys.
Since the video I put up yesterday was titled Plasma Charged Power Lines, and I showed multiple examples where the power lines are catching on fire, exploding transformers with plasma balls glowing in the sky, energy on the loose cruising across the power lines, sparking and arcing in this person's backyard, power lines on fire. I figured I should throw in the exploding birds just to top it off, throw the icing on the cake there. Seems to all kind of fall in the same bucket of plasma apocalypse phenomena. Here's their neighborhood watch awareness campaign they were engaging in. They just kind of breezed across it. Report all dead birds too. Neighbors on Bernard at Gmail. Report any history of birds, single firecracker sounds, any pole activity, as in the power line poles or telephone poles. Please help us. And so they probably think that they're being lied to about the idea that it was a pellet or a slingshot or a BB gun, because like the guy said, I can hear the direction that the pop sound is coming from. It's coming from up there on the power lines, thus it wasn't a person with a pellet gun. And you could just tell the people were like, I don't think someone would be that accurate that often. And these power lines do seem to surge and crackle and arc at times. You can tell the people believe that they're being lied to by PG&E, who says, we contacted the Fish and Game Service and they said it was trauma from a BB or a pellet gun or a slingshot, not electrocution. We got our stories straight. And for good reason. Because it's necessary to postpone the realization of what's happening here. Mr. MB3 was pretty good about correlating all of it, saying these flashing lights are due to a surge of electricity within our environment. And it's not just on the grid. Because we've seen flashing lights in cars and solar lights that are not even connected to the grid. So the fluctuating electromagnetic force that's causing these lights to flash is not coming through the power lines. It may be affecting the power lines, but that's not where it's coming from, and it's not limited to the power grid, or we wouldn't see solar lights flashing on and off, or cars' headlights flashing on and off, of which he has multiple videos showing this. And that this is probably also connected to the power outages. We've had more blackouts around the world in 2025 than the last 3 or 4 or 5 years combined. And this is all directly related to the phenomenon that I specialize in called plasma fire. That is also known as electrical wildfire. These fires that demonstrate they have electricity at the heart of them. The motivating force, the power behind these fires is electricity. So all of these things are connected. Fluctuating magnetic field creates a surge of ground current, creates ionic wind, ergo electricity in the air. And all of these things are connected. Now I wonder, now that Mr. MB3 has shown this on his larger platform, it's not just these people in this neighborhood on this one street, excuse me, Bernard, as part of the public awareness campaign about the fact that birds are popping and dropping off the power lines. Now that Mr. MB3 has shown it, will people start sending him videos by the hundreds of birds exploding on power lines? That was their word, is exploding. Just like the flashing light phenomenon, once Mr. MB3 drew people's attention to this, then they could see it for themselves. If they hadn't had their attention drawn to it by Mr. MB3, no one would even be noticing this at this point. So, will Mr. MB3 start showing dead birds right and left? If he does start having videos sent to him by people saying, oh, that's been happening around my house too. I didn't realize anything, but now that you mention it, there is a popping sound. My neighbors noticed it too. We've seen 5 or 10 of these birds drop from the power lines. Will he start receiving these videos? And if he does, is he going to broadcast it? Or is he going to prioritize the fact that we need to postpone people's realization about what's going on here in the name of public safety for not inciting civil unrest? Because when people realized our energy is our atmosphere is so energized, it's creating fires, birds are exploding, lights are flickering, we're having blackouts. In other words, we're going through a pole reversal, earth changes that the men in black aren't in control of. That's when the people lose self-control and start acting disorderly. So, if Mr. MB3 starts being sent a bunch of videos of these birds dropping from the power lines, will he broadcast it? Or will he err on the side of, we better hold on to this for a while. I don't think the public needs to really know about this on a massive scale until it's to the point where you can't hide it anymore. That would be why PG&E and the Fish and Game Department have both agreed, yeah, they weren't electrocuted. Yeah, it was probably a BB gun. They would rather people think it's a BB gun than become aware of what's happening around us. This same motivation is why none of the governmental officials, none of the media outlets, none of the educational institutions, the fire department, the police department, there are people within each of these agencies that know about plasma fire, and universally, in every country around the world, no one's talking about it. For the reason that I'm putting forth. They know as well as I do, people will be out of control once they see what's going on around us. Thus, it is necessary to try to postpone that as long as possible. But the time is coming, sooner or later. This is increasing and accelerating. It's not going away. Thus, there will come a point where we've reached that threshold. People start realizing what's happening around us and connecting the dots. And that's when things are going to have to change. Martial law, lockdowns, curfews, that type of shit, because the people themselves are the greatest danger to themselves. For the same reason you wouldn't tell the public if there was an incoming asteroid that was going to hit, because they would be the greatest danger to themselves. That is why they are universally silent about this and will come up with cover stories to prevent the public from finding out what people who watch this channel are already pretty well aware of. I was watching an AMA, Ask Me Anything, on Suspicious Observer's channel the other day, Space Weather News, Ben Davidson, and in his live stream, Ask Me Anything, someone asked, do you think the government officials will ever hand you a public platform and allow you to explain the cataclysm cycle to the public? He said no, and if they did, I would not accept the offer. I don't want everyone to know, only people that are drawn here in mysterious ways by the power, the forces that be, call it God, call it whatever you want, a process of self-selection. Those who choose to educate themselves and follow the breadcrumbs make their way to the truth. We don't want to force feed it to people. I don't want everyone to know. So I saw this video a little while back where this bird is flashing. You can see it's like got electricity flowing through its wings, and I kind of blew it off like maybe it's AI. By the way, you can zoom in on your phone right now using the pinch screen and zoom in since it's in vertical video. There was quite a few people who showed this on their channel. Someone even sent it to me as a link in the comments. Anyway, J-Dreamers talks about a time when the knights in their suits of armor, that those weren't actually used for fighting. Those were used for repelling electricity. And we seem to be approaching a time when our atmosphere is energized to a point where that sounds like it might make sense. Oops. This might be a little bit better of a shot. Now the birds are flashing lights. This is from a TikToker not too long ago. I think it's on Facebook and YouTube. I'm sure some of you have already seen this. At first I dismissed it as CGI or something mechanical, but the bird does appear to be flashing. And we can dismiss a lot of things, but there's a lot of surrounding context that gives you reason to not dismiss this. I tried to find a horizontal version to where we can get it full screen, but hopefully you can get the gist. tried to find a horizontal version to where we can get it full screen. But hopefully you can get the gist here. Plasma-powered Tweety birds are falling from the sky. Find a horizontal. So what do you guys think? Chime in on this electric flashing bird. Is it real? Is it time to get your suit of armor ready to roll for when people are getting zapped? Take a small moment of silence to soak it in. Your immediate response is going to be, no, that's got to be AI. No, that's got to be CGI. That's got to be mechanical. But allow yourself just for a moment to conceive of the possibility that this is real. That bird is literally flashing with electricity coursing through it. It's somehow grounding or releasing the electricity.
One last final afterthought. Static electricity. From a layman's perspective, which is all I have when it comes to electricity, I think that might explain that bird up there flashing, because we've all experienced static a little bit, like when you rub your feet on the carpet and you build up some static charge, and you touch a door handle or you touch the person next to you and it creates that little pop between you. Maybe that bird is building up static electricity and discharging it as it's going through the air. Maybe there's so much static electricity in the air that it allows the electricity in the power line to go through the bird and create that connection, and that's the pop that they're hearing before the bird drops. I remember hearing Marfugel say, I think it was during a geomagnetic storm, where the air was charged, and when he'd touch a door handle or a shopping cart, he was getting shocked all over the place. Add to that some magnetism, that might also explain the flashing lights. Static electricity is a way that people can understand electricity just being in the air or in the ground, and not necessarily in a power line. Just some food for thought. Oh yeah, and one other thing. I've heard that airplanes do the same thing. They'll build up static electric charge in their wings and discharge it, and you'll see it and hear it popping where the wings are throwing off flashes of miniature lightning. Add to that the weakening magnetic field that allows charged particles to penetrate our atmosphere, electrons, protons. I think it's all starting to add up, and I think that bird flashing, I think that was real. And it's very similar to the birds that are dropping off the power lines. What's next on that sliding scale as the energy increases? Jay Dreamer's idea about wearing a Faraday cage, that the suit of armor that the knights used wasn't for fighting. It was for fighting the electricity that's everywhere. Stay curious, my friends. Last add-on, that's a Muse message. The song Sleep Through the Static by Jack Johnson, referring to the static. And relationships are overrated. I hate it, everyone said the sun. And so I will cook all your books. You took a look and then mistook, and you can watch it instead from the comfort of your burning beds. Or you can sleep through the static. This is the same Jack Johnson that sings All at Once. All at once. The world can overwhelm me. There's almost nothing that you could tell me that could ease my mind. Around the sun, some say, is going to be the new hell, some say. It's still too early to tell, some say. It really ain't no myth at all. Will you run when it's always all around you? And the feeling lost and found you again. The feeling that we have no control. Around the sun, some say, is gonna be the new hell. Some say, it's still too early to tell. Some say, it really ain't no myth at all. Keep asking ourselves, are we really strong enough. And there's so many things that we got too proud of. We're too proud of. I want to take the preconceived out from underneath your feet. We can shake it off and instead we'll plant some seeds. Watch them as they grow, and with each new beat, from your heart the roots grow deeper. The branches, will they reach for what? Nobody really knows. But underneath it all, there's this heart alone. And what about when it's gone? Oh, it really won't be so long. Sometimes it feels like a heart is no place to be singing from it all. But there's a world we've never seen. There's still hope between the dreams. And the weight of it all can blow away with the breeze. And if you're waiting on the wind, well, don't forget to breathe. 'Cause as the darkness gets deeper, we'll sink until we reach for love. At least something we can hold. And I'll reach to you from where time just can't go. And what about when it's gone? Oh, it really won't be so long. Sometimes it feels like a heart is no place to be singing from it all. You didn't catch it in that song, that lyric from Sleep Through the Static? He was referring to the same thing. Like in his song All at Once, where he talks about how around the sun is going to be the new hell, etc. In the song Sleep Through the Static, relationships are overrated. I hated everyone said the sun, S-U-N, not S-O-N. And so I will cook all your books. You took a look and then mistook, and you can watch it instead from the comfort of your burning beds, or you can sleep through the static. Referring to the sun, hated everyone said the sun, and so I will cook all your books. How does the sun cook your books? Watch it instead from the comfort of your burning beds, or you can sleep through the static. Those are 4 direct references to this same apocalyptic cycle that he specifies very clearly in All at Once. Just wanted to clarify for those of you that didn't catch that.